From Machine God, Code of Remembrance of Higher Beings. Most of us have heard or used the phrase machine God to describe a situation or a person which happened or suddenly appeared out of nowhere, so he took us out of a difficult position we were in and gave us a solution to a possible problem or dilemma, while in many cases it may have saved our own lives. But is there anything deeper when it was first used in ancient tragedies? However, many do not know how this phrase we use came about, while few may have suspected another version of its interpretation, quite possible for open-minded people who like to look for alternative interpretations beyond the common sense and perspective of many. Let's first look at the term machine God. It literally means God from the machine and comes from the ancient Greek tragedy where live on the stage in front of the spectators who were watching, and while the actors were upstairs, something unreal was happening that interfered with the action and surprised those present there. At the height of the drama, the tragedian had arranged for the roles to lead to unresolved problems or to conflicts that led to a dead end. At that time, the director made sure to show the presence of a god unexpectedly on stage, in a surprising way, apparently with the help of some mechanism, usually a crane. And this god appeared to descend from above, perhaps with some terrible musical background and corresponding effects of the time, in order to stand out as a divine person. But also the audience that had already entered the logic of the work to be convinced that this terrible and unexpected appearance was the intervention of a divine person in the work. This happens when, according to the scenario of the tragedy, there was no and could not be a human solution except with a superior intervention, divine intervention, that is. We will find some such examples in the ancient tragedy of Sophocles' Philoctetes, where Hercules intervenes in order to persuade Philoctetes to campaign with the Achaeans in the Trojan War. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box. Now, I've included here some images of ancient Greek theaters. This one here in particular is found in Peru, an ancient Greek theater in Peru, and upcoming a very good example of a very well preserved ancient Greek theater in China. So you can imagine that they were also part of the Asclepius health centers where people would go to have fasting, daily baths, daily confessions, and it was like a type of listening to music, watching art, and also theater every day, one tragedy and one comedy, in order to get you to bring out your problems and then also laugh at them. So this was these were parts of the therapeutic centers. The Asclepius therapeutic centers in ancient Greece were also found in China, from Peru to China. So these are just some of the examples. This is a very well preserved ancient theater in China. Now, as we said, we'll find examples of ancient tragedy of Sophocles and Philoctetes, where Hercules intervenes in order to persuade Philoctetes to campaign with the Achaeans in the Trojan War. We also find it in Medea, the tragedy of Euripides, where the god Helios, or sun, hearing the request of the dance, sends a chariot dragged by dragons to transport the child-killing Medea away from Jason of the Argonauts. Now, especially here, the director and the people behind him should have had a lot of imagination. We're talking about the ancient tragedy, the play. As the presence of horses and dragons should have been an overproduction, as we would say today. Can you imagine? On the other hand, Aristophanes, who used to write comedies, imitates and satirizes the use by a machine god, giving plenty of laughter to his viewers. Perhaps the most ingenious scene is the one where, in the comedy Clouds, he puts Socrates to appear on stage in a basket that hovers high above the stage, so that it takes the minds of the of the air and catches celestial signals and downloads ideas. So he put Socrates in a basket, downloading ideas from the clouds. However, some have wondered, was it the machine god just an extraordinary directional finding or a secret code of intervention of a memory in human DNA? It's claimed that the ancient tragedies were a kind of living but simplistic initiation in which the spectators participated of all educational levels, so the description of the show to those who had not seen it could not convey the experience of those who actually saw it. The play, that is. In fact, Aeschylus was accused of revealing in his works, in some of his tragedies, part of the Eleusinian mysteries. Much of the Greek secretariat, and mainly of our mythology, is full of gods and other entities that fly with their chariots, such as flying vehicles, to Aeschylus and intervene in the lives of mortals, mainly in wars and battles, determining their outcome. If we do not take all this as fairy tales and fantasies of the ancient Greeks, who otherwise had discovered almost everything and gave the lights of civilization to others, but we see them at least as a possible alternative reality that may have been valid, then we pass at another level of research and hypothesis that in many respects has much in common with the so-called, quote-unquote, ancient astronaut theory. Now, from this point of view, the machine god, quote-unquote, may have been a living or persuasive way of communicating to remind viewers of the memory that may have been imprinted on their DNA, which had to be awakened, quote-unquote. The presence of gods among humans in the past, when the flying boats or vehicles of these beings remained suspended in the sky or landed a little further in the open. More specifically, the author Raymond Drake, in the book Ancient Astronauts, wonders if the machine god was a memory from the time when the gods, authentic spacemen, descended from space with their spaceship. Is it possible to know how probable or unlikely such a thing is? We can just think about it and wonder about it. I've translated this for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments about this, and thank you for your support.